Good morning, my friends. Happy Thursday morning to you all. I wanted to send this note out to you after having a series of meetings yesterday with the clergy in the diocese, with our bishop, with the staff, and with the vestry and the liturgy cluster last night. It was a long day full of meetings, but I found it very enthusiastic and very affirming. And so I wanted to reach out to you this morning and give you some updates about our common life when it comes to worship and prayer. I want to share with you that we are working toward a start date for small group worship at Grace on Sunday, July the 19th. Sunday, July the 19th. That is our proposed first date of gathering together in small groups. On this particular video, I'm just going to share some very broad pieces with you because our liturgy cluster, our staff, of course, is working on ironing out what those details will be when it comes to use of masks, cleaning, organizing, registering for the services, which we'll need to do. Also, organizing use of space, entrance, exits with bathrooms, and all of that. And also communication and making sure that we can do all that we can, that we're clear, so that when you show up, if you choose to come on one of these Sundays, you can step out of your car and know exactly what to do to walk into the nave and to share in prayers together and have that be as less anxious as possible for all of us during this time. We've just reached the 13-week point, which is a quarter of a year. And I'm very aware that there is an enormous weight that's hanging on all of us. So I am excited that we can gather beginning on July the 19th in small groups, and I look forward to seeing you. I really, really do. Just a few brief notes on what we can tell you at this point you can expect on that day and in the subsequent days as well. We are going to have small groups of 50 people total, and we're working out what those details will be in terms of the total count. That includes everyone who will be in the nave. We'll need to register for the services ahead of time for contact tracing so that we know who is in the building at all times, and if need be, we can get in touch with all who were there. I also need to share with you, to be completely transparent, that going back on July the 19th is not going to be like going back in February. It's going to feel and look very different for all of us. Two of the important things to keep in mind that you will see and hear and not hear when you are there is that we will not be sharing communion at this point. So it will be a service of morning prayer just as we've been doing. And I also need to let you know that when we go into the space with 50, there will be no singing. There will be organ music and there will be music, but there will not be singing. We'll have a simple spoken service that we all can share together. I'll leave the rest to coming days after we iron out what those details are, but I wanted to send that out to you this morning just to let you know that, one, we're working toward that date, and two, to be completely transparent, so that you're not surprised. Now, I want to turn, if we can, to looking this morning together at the spiritual work that we're all being called to do. These are extremely trying days. When I was visiting with the bishop after our clergy call, he and I spoke yesterday, and I told him that on any given year, any 4 of the really important and crucial conversations that we are sharing, from a virus to economic job loss, to racial injustice, and also in any typical year, the election cycle itself would be such a weighty thing for us to hold. This year we have all of these, my friends, and each of us is doing what we can to live into our own particular distinctive vocations within our shared life as a spiritual community. And so I want you to know that I am very aware that this is a heavy time, that it is a stressful time, that it is an anxious time. It is for all of us. When I sit in my devotion times at home, I call it sitting in my corner. When I sit in my corner, what swirls up in me is fatigue and also a sense of enormous gratitude that we are here at this particular moment to share this together. And so I want to send my thanks to each and every person in this community for all that you are doing to hold this space together, to support each other. I need to tell you one of the particular things that Cynthia and I are talking about right now, and also working with Cheryl, is what spaces can we create and nurture in terms of the parish as a whole, so that we can listen to each other more deeply about what all of us are holding, what we're struggling with. What laments do we need to do? What do we need to share with each other in terms of our grieving? How can we find ways to be vulnerable with each other and open up on the level of our hearts so that we're grounded in all that we're carrying and holding right now? I don't know where your heart is when it comes to the life of the parish right now. I know 3 months is a very long time. And some of you, I imagine, are just about at your limit of being able to tolerate the disruption. And I understand that. I really do. Many days I'm at that level myself. I don't know where your heart is, but this is what I do know at this point. Each and every one of us is being called in this crucible moment to practice our vocations more deeply, to live into the distinctive gifts and strengths that the Spirit has given us, and to share those within the community. What that looks like might take a different form in each person's life, and what that looks like might take a different form in each parish's life within our diocese. And I affirm that, because at the root of it, I truly believe is that the Spirit is at work in our lives and is weaving us together in more intimate ways. So I don't know where your heart is. I don't know if you've just reached the limit of your tolerance. I would ask you this, I would ask all of us this, to recognize two things. One, it is each of our spiritual work to do our inner work, to draw on the resources that we have from our Christian tradition, to listen to each other, to read, to pray, to meditate, to spend time in silence and stillness and solitude, so that we're grounded and can respond to the pressures that we face with grace, openness, and honesty, and a deeper sense of being vulnerable with each other. And we commit to you that we will walk and stand alongside you in your work as we all share in the life of this parish. These are such trying days, and they're such clarifying days in so many ways. We're being asked more and more to reflect, especially as we look at this particular embodiment of life that we will share for the next several months, to be transparent about that. Going into the fall, having so many uncertainties there, we're being called to do our work, my friends, to do our inner work, to ground ourselves, so that what on a surface level looks like stressful tensions and anxious tensions actually can be transmuted to be creative tensions. And we can trust each other more and lean into a space that is more full of compassion and peace and hope. That's my prayer on this day, both as we look toward starting our small group sessions on July the 19th. We'll send out more info as we have it to make, as I said, to make this as smooth as a process as possible for all of us. I want to end with a poem. It's a very short one, don't worry, it's not going to take 5 minutes. Rabindranath Tagore is one of my favorite poets. He was a Bengali poet from India, and Howard Thurman met him when he traveled on his trip there. And Tagore is such an extraordinary writer to capture images that really are rooted in the heart. So I want to read this short one to you. It's called Your Name. I will utter your name, sitting alone among the shadows of my silent thoughts. I will utter it without words. I will utter it without purpose. For I am like a child that calls its mother 100 times, glad it can say, Mother. I will utter your name, sitting alone among the shadows of my silent thoughts. I will utter it without words. I will utter it without purpose. For I am like a child that calls its mother 100 times, glad that it can say, Mother. That's where I am this morning, recognizing more and more that this common space that we share is to say God's name together and to realize that no matter what the details are, no matter what the circumstances may be, we're all being held in God's loving embrace. I'll see you soon.